Hello, my name is Rex, and today I'll be taking you through our RetailTech Human Resources Portal demonstration. We start off this demonstration with our landing page, and while this is a retail-focused demo, we really wanted to broaden the horizons to any human resources employee that might want to look at this regardless of their industry or business sector that they're looking at. We land here on our landing page. This is a Domo brick that is a dynamic data-powered landing page. And that means that anyone who navigates to this page will only see the information or the dashboards that are relevant to them based on their personalized data permissions and the pages that they have access to in the Domo platform. To simulate this, we actually have a hidden page here. So in the real world, a personalized data permission would actually take place of this toggle and would allow different users to see different pieces of content depending on the pages that they should have access to. Our demo has 4 main pages. Really, 3 of them are supplemental or supportive information, and those are the employee demographics. So looking at the breakdown of our company demographics and informing overall trends for diversity and equality initiatives. We have our national employment statistics. This is a live view into our national employment statistics here in the US. This is actually based on real live data, and it can help inform, again, hiring strategy or how aggressive we should be in certain areas, geographic areas. We have our competitive recruiting analysis. So this is, again, looking at that broader job market and analyzing the job postings that are out there, using some of our AI features to both kick off this analysis, but also be able to parse specific key factors out of the job postings. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But ultimately, this all revolves around churn modeling. So how can we predict those employees in a company? And again, retail focused, but could also be, and we've made this very broad. So anyone who is looking for churn analysis on employees, this dashboard should be able to serve you. So with that, let's navigate through some of these dashboards and take a look at them. Let's start with the national employment statistics, as it really is the most broad solution. So like I mentioned, this is live data. So these cards are all being powered based on data that we're pulling from the Bureau of Labor Statistics or other economic locations. So you can see we have some summary numbers across the top here. We'll take a look at these, and I just want to show the data pipeline here. So this is an ETL that's pulling together data, and we can see in the lineage here that we have many different factors coming in here that relate to the economy. We chose to specifically focus on unemployment and employment metrics, as this is a human resources focused demo. So across the top, we obviously have a look at the economy and a really quick comparative look. We're flat on unemployment. Our labor force participation rate is increasing, et cetera, et cetera. Down below, we wanted to give the user some flexibility. So we've actually included the ability to use these variables to control the chart below. So we can see we have unemployment metric 1 and 2, and we can see that the unemployment rate is mapped to metric 1 and the civilian labor force participation rate is mapped to metric 2. If, for example, I wanted to swap over to average hourly earnings and see how that is changing compared to personal consumption expenditures, so doing a quick analysis of how much are people making versus how much they're spending, we can see I can really easily flip this dashboard or flip this card around, and I can choose any of these metrics and do a quick comparative analysis and see how these are moving over time. If we scroll down, we also have some information, more localized information on national employment. So if you're a location, maybe a retail location that is broad across many states, you can look in and have a closer look at how unemployment is in those areas and maybe predict areas that you might have shortages of employees, et cetera. Our next area that we'll dig into is our employee demographics. So this is more of a look at our company. So of our total employees, how are we breaking down by department? So what is our breakdown? These can be used to filter across. So maybe if I want to look at marketing specifically, how are we doing in diversity? How are we doing in gender? How are we looking over time? So looking at hires versus departures over time and being able to map this. Also looking at compensation. So are we being equitable across all of our different people groups, whether that's gender or ethnicity, and just being able to really quickly do some analysis there, as well as in our recruiting practices. So if I take this filter off, just looking at our overall recruiting analysis, how many recs are out, how many total candidates, days to hire, average cost to hire. So are we paying headhunters? Are we paying service fees out on other sites? All of that information funneling together here to give us a pretty broad view of our employee demographics. Let's take a look at our competitive recruiting analysis. So this page is actually two subpages. So we start off with more of a quick start look. So this is something that we would set up maybe the first time, and then we would flow into the dashboard. So we can see here that our first step is we want to enter our company's name so we can understand who our competitors are. So this brick actually leverages our AI service layer. So if we put in our company as Domo, we'll get a list of our competitors, Tableau, Power BI, etc. For this demo, we actually want to focus on Ford Motor Company, as that's kind of the way that we've architected this here. So we can see we come up with our different list of competitors. And then we have a click through here that shows that we're going to connect to data through a Jupyter workspace that's going to orchestrate some scraping of LinkedIn data. And it's also going to kick off some ETL processes to join that data together and then eventually generate a dashboard. So we can analyze our competition here. And while that's happening, that's going out and scraping the data, it's ETLing the data together, and ultimately creating our analysis so we can jump to our analysis page. So again, a little bit of wiring up there. Some of that is not fully functional today. It's something we hope to have functional in the future with the ability to package Jupyter workspaces into these demos that we might package and launch as quick starts. But nonetheless, we land here at a competitive hiring AI-driven solution. And this is really meant to empower and inform both recruiters, but also maybe your executives to understand this is some AI-generated text. So using ChatGPT, feeding in some data, pulling out these interesting tidbits of information. So we're comparing Ford Motor Company to General Motors and Stellantis, so kind of the Detroit 3 automotive companies. And we can see here the AI has picked out some information about different job titles or skills that are required, whether or not remote work ability is available in a lot of these positions. So we've actually, this is data as of a couple of weeks ago when we last ran this, but we're analyzing 438 opportunities from Ford, 342 from General Motors, and 187 from Stellantis, doing again some AI-driven exploration into those, and then also being able to show job postings over time, the number of applicants, all of this data again coming out of LinkedIn. And then we also have some information that we're pulling out of ChatGPT out of the job description. So we can see here in our detail table that we have our job descriptions. We're actually feeding those job descriptions to ChatGPT to pull out information around key skills or whether or not something is listed as remote. And so if we go down into our detail table, we can see information about these positions, learning design, and is this position remote? It's full-time. How many have applied? So as a company, we can learn to tailor our job descriptions to better maybe target those people or to better compete against those in our space. We also have sort of a drill through here where I can click on that job description or that job title and actually link out to that description on LinkedIn. So making this very actionable for someone in human resources. So this is kind of an aside. It's not necessarily tailored directly to the story of the churn analysis, but this is, again, really meant to be a broad human resources demonstration. I do want to show for the competitive recruiting analysis a little bit of the behind the scenes. So this is the Jupyter workbook that would be kicked off when you run this analysis. So the data flow here is really data that's living in LinkedIn. We're using an API from a service called Appify through our Jupyter workspaces to go and gather that data. We're then running it through ChatGPT. So you can see we have some of our prompts down here, our prompt templates that we're sending out to ChatGPT using Domo's AI service layer to go ahead and curate that data, and then ultimately driving that into an AI-focused and AI-driven contextual dashboard for those end users. So finally, our employee churn modeling. This dashboard is one that I see as high demand for our customers, and that is both an executive view, but really a drill down view, or something that is really actionable for someone in human resources, where we can understand who are we most likely at risk of losing in our company, and what can we do to be able to influence that and potentially save some of these churn users. So this is, again, using the same data as the first dashboard, or I guess the second dashboard that we looked at. So the data pipeline here is we're pulling in data from ADP. We have some other employee dimensions that are coming from our Oracle system. We're joining those data together, and we're ultimately ending up with a curated data set that we are building our churn model on top of. And so for our churn model, we can see we're leveraging Jupyter workspaces here. We're pulling this data in and we're running it through several different models. The main one here being XGBoost. We're reading this data in, we're doing some cleanup, we're doing some training and test splitting, we're generating our model here, we're doing some predictions, we're bucketing those predictions in low, medium, high, and immediate intervention. And then we're writing that data back out to the Domo platform. And that lands us here with a really actionable dashboard that, again, if I'm an executive, I want to know these high-level stats around low, medium, high, and immediate intervention. I want these numbers to get smaller as I go, because I really don't want to be losing people in my company. And then I'm getting a detailed analysis here of our 71,803 current employees who are low risk, medium risk, high risk, and immediate intervention, but also some traits that we've pulled out of the feature importance for those specific groups. So these low risk employees have high levels of engagement, high job satisfaction, and they have long tenure, whereas our high risk employees have declining engagement and low job satisfaction levels. So this data is being live updated. So these numbers are live looks into that data, so we can understand how this data is changing over time. We can set alerts on this data so that we're ultimately keeping tabs on our churn situation. If I'm an executive and I want to know more, or maybe I'm someone in human resources and I want to help control this churn, this is where I would use something like the sunburst chart to drill into maybe these who are in sales, or our frontline sales retail employees that have this high churn prediction rate. Let's drill into those and then get right into the detail table. So I can see here, this might be something that I would do some further analysis, or this might be my work list. I might drill into these and say, hey, I want to reach out to this person. We've anonymized this data with Anonymatic. So again, trying to keep this secure in the Domo cloud. We don't want this information falling into the wrong hands, but we do have some identifying information. I can cross-reference this employee ID and go get more information about this person and just see, what of these factors might be something that I could reach out about. Maybe it's more business travel. Maybe it's that, we could switch him to a location that is closer to home. So we have some some additional details. And then as I'm forming a more macro strategy, I might want to look into my model insights. So namely my feature importance. It's a measure of how much each one of these factors has contributed to those individual predictions that we see. And so, as you might expect, monthly income and locale kind of fall to the top of the list. Number of years in current role. Maybe these are things that we have some impact on. Travels for business, work-life balance, these are things we might be getting from surveys. And so can we find ways to engage these employees? Again, lots and lots of possibilities for what we can do with this data. I think we're only sort of scratching the surface. In conclusion, this is our MedTech Human Resources portal for our RetailTech Human Resources demonstration. We demonstrated our ability to connect to external sources and get real-time data for our national employment statistics. We've shown how we can pull together multiple data systems to look at both our current employee demographics as well as churn modeling, and then showed a little bit of advanced capability with our competitive recruiting analysis solution that goes out and pulls data and analyzes it using ChatGPT. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.